We start out with a grand return to the D&H. SD60 6959 had been down at Roanoke in the shops for a month on end. Unfortunately, it lost its famous RS5T, and it was the most famous SD60 on the line. It came back with a K5LA. Also trailing behind 6959 was an AC44 C6M, a leased WFRX SD70 MAC 8871, and a white-faced -9 44CW. The MAC and the -9 led a short 16R the day before and only went up to Mechanicsville instead of AR, Massachusetts. The 11R is daily manifest traffic from AR, Massachusetts to Binghamton, New York. He's got hoppers, empty trash containers, a long line of boxcars. A lot of them are CSX and MEC owned. And his empty auto racks at the back of the train. These are heading out west for more loads. And yes, this is the same crossing that the intro is filmed at. Later on in that evening, we would catch northbound train 16R, the northbound counterpart to the 11R. 16R would have the common power with an SD60 and two -9s. In the mix is a cool Southern Pacific auto rack. Not too many of those lingering around anymore. Just like its southbound counterpart, the 16R is a manifest train. This time it's departing Binghamton and heading to AR, Massachusetts. For the manifest block, now the trash containers are empty and the auto racks are loaded. Nowadays, anytime I go to film or do anything with railroads, I'm usually not alone. That guy scares me. The next night, 16R came up, and for power tonight, he had an SD60, a CSXT C40-AW with MEC lettering, and an AC44 C6M trailing. He also has a Southern boxcar and a Grand Trunk auto rack, two pieces of rolling stock which are becoming rare and rare. At 5 in the morning, this is what I wake up to. Did you see that? A BNSF Warbonnet. I've also heard these units be called fade bonnets. We would get a brief look at it here, but luckily later on, that same power came up on 264. The Warbonnet paint scheme is one of the most famous paint schemes in railroad history around the world, period. It has made its way to wooden trains, TV shows, movies, model trains, and plenty of locomotives have worn the scheme, such as Santa Fe's F units and F45s, which the F45s are some of my favorite units. This Dash 9 here, number 4708, also wears the famous Warbonnet paint scheme just with BNSF lettering. In 1995, when the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe came together to create BNSF, there was not an official paint scheme in mind. So what they did was that they took their Dash 9s that were brand new, and not having an official scheme, they painted the Warbonnet scheme onto the Dash 9s and just added the letters BNSF. These were some of the last locomotives to be painted in the famous Warbonnet paint scheme. NS Train 264 is bound for AR, Massachusetts. He comes out of Chicago and he works Buffalo, New York, Binghamton, New York, and Mechanics, New York along his way. Today's train has loaded auto racks at the back. These usually ride on 16R and 264. The Warbonnet paint scheme isn't the only thing a flash of the past. There goes a Conrail auto rack right there. My first ever war bonnet, or fade bonnet, whatever you want to call it. That 264 would meet its southbound counterpart train, the 265 in Oneonta. He had once again 6959, 4575, and 8871. The SD70 MACs from Wells Fargo are essentially B units. They cannot lead trains on the NS due to them not having PTC, aka positive train control, which is required on all leaders in the railroad. Where we are filming is the old D&H station here in Bainbridge, New York. In its heyday, there used to be 3 tracks here. On this side of the crossing, right next to the building, used to be a track that would serve the station itself. The platform is all covered by that grass you see over there in front of the train. In the parking lot across the tracks, there used to be a track that led up to a water tower, for when steam locomotives used to have to fill up their water tanks. You can't make steam without water. And in those trees over there used to be the old feed track. I'm not exactly sure what they fed here, but there was probably grain or soybeans that they dropped off. However, there's no grain and no soybeans on this train, just a sleek, fast, and cubed intermodal containers. Oh my gosh, those Subaru commercials are true. The dogs are driving. And the comedian here always has to make a joke. However, this comedian rail fan was out 2 days later once again. Here is SD60 6957 leading CSXT 7518 still in its Pan Am Railway scheme, and ES44 DC 7584 on another 11R. Just like the 6959 earlier, the 6957 also has a famous horn, but unlike the 6959, it still has it. It's famous because it's controversial on this line. Some people like it and some people hate it. I'm one of those that actually likes it. Sound off in the comments if you like it or not. We'll see if the people like it or if they don't. No trash and no racks on today's 11R, which is quite interesting for this train as they are commonplace. The next day, 264 made its way up the D&H once again. Today's 264 had two C40-8Ws from CSX trailing, one in the YN3B paint scheme, the other one in the Yellow Nose 2 paint scheme. They have MEC lettering, but are still owned by CSX. MEC at one point bought these C40-8s, but last year, June 2022, the CSX would buy out Pan Am, making these units CSX owned once again. Today's leader on 264 is SD60 6950. Today's 264 has quite a few trailer on flat car, aka piggyback trailers. These are always cool to see. The intermodal industry has phased out trailers on flat cars due to the shipping containers being more efficient. These containers were sitting on trailer chassis. When they get off the train, they are put onto trailer chassis so they can make it to the final destination. Ah yes, you could tell I film with my phone for these videos sometimes. As in this case, I would film this like I was shooting a TikTok. Which is not a good thing, by the way. I don't like this at all. But anyways, this is 16R once again. No GEs this time, which is amazing. It's an all EMD show with an SD60 up front, as per usual, and two monstrous SD70 Aces at 4,500 horsepower. That's just 100 horsepower more than the GEs. At one time, GE and EMD built units at 6,000 horsepower. However, both companies were not successful with their locomotives, as it would have frequent mechanical failures. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you around the bend. God bless.